Hi everybody, this is Pam with Jesus Junk Journals, and today we get to do something really fun. We're going to do a reenactment of a video I shot or thought I shot, but I didn't. So when I went to edit the video, I realized I was missing the whole piece about September and how I did it. So let me show you what it looks like finished, and then we'll back up from there. So here is September. And so what I did is I created 3 flaps like this for the prayer page with the closure with some lace. So I'm going to come back to that in just a minute, but I'm going to show you what I did here. So to do that, I went ahead and printed 2 more pages for September. And of course it's a double spread, so you see December there. But we're just going to deal with September. So I'm going to cut this one in half and use it as the front plate that will actually show. And I'll try not to talk while I cut it. Maybe I can do it straight. Okay. So you saw the finished product. You've got these 3 flaps that take up this much space right here. So I'm going to cut off the September prayers part. And actually, let me measure with a ruler. To make this a little bit easier, I'm going to look for like kind of an even place to cut it. So it looks like 6.5 would be a good spot maybe. And 6.5. And then I'm going to use my X-Acto knife and this ruler to cut it. You kind of want a nice even number because you're going to divide it in 3s. And that makes it easier to divide by 3 if you have it in like 6.5. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. So I'm going to show you the math way. So you've got 6.5 and you want to divide it by 3. So that's 2 inches and then 1/3 of a half, which is like 1/6. And the ruler doesn't show you 1/6. And so you get down to kind of where you have to guesstimate. So let me show you what I do. And I do this anyway, just because I hate using a ruler sometimes. I take a piece of scrap paper and I know this is kind of silly. It works for me though, but I do this a lot. Now you can use the ruler and you can go like two and, you know, like if you kind of eyeball it, there's about 1/3, and then you can eyeball it to there and say, well, that's a roughly, let me just mark that out and see how close I come to what I get with this piece of paper. So that's my guesstimate of 2 1/6. So what I do is I'm going to cut this piece of scrap paper to the length of this. And then I just sort of finagle it. So I just start to kind of fold it and roll it until it's something like even into thirds. And I fold it. And it won't be perfect, but it will be close. And so let's see how this comes out on here. So, I mean, it's a little bit shorter. It's a little bit shorter on that piece. And then let me show you. So this one, it's a little bit longer. And then this one is just about the same as that one. So see, one is going to be just a little bit shorter. And so what I'm going to do is take this And so here's the reason I think this works better than using the ruler, because I guesstimated on 2 and a 6, right? So if that's just a little bit, let's say it's a little bit too big, I'm going to end up down here at the bottom with a short piece anyway. And so you just want to get close, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to mark this so I can see my thirds. Sort of. Okay, so I'm going to lay it here next to this. The reason this is better, in my opinion, is because however you divide it up, it's all going to total the exact height of this piece of paper. So even if you got short on one piece and long on one piece, the total is going to be right. Then you take this same little measuring thing and you move it this way. Don't turn it around and don't flip it. You move it from side to side. That way you know you got it exactly the same height all the way across. So I'm going to mark it over here, mark it over here. And then I'm going to take and you know, if you don't want to use an X-Acto knife, you don't have to. You can just make a mark and cut it with your scissors, no problem. So I'm going to cut this and this. And so this cuts your picture into 3 fairly close pieces. And that's what you're going to glue on the front of your 3 pockets. Okay. So there's that. So now you need to figure out the paper behind it. So I'm going to get a piece of just plain cardstock. Get a piece of plain cardstock, and there's a couple ways you could do this. You can either just cut like one piece for behind it and then a glue tab, but I think I like it better when you have a whole double folded piece of paper and you just glue this on top. So to make sure this is the size that I want it to be, I'm going to draw the line here and just make a mark here, and then I'm going to fold it down like this and make it and then so that is and this is going to be on the back, so I'm going to say the top one. Here's the middle one. And we're actually going to make it, looks like I might not have gotten all the way over on that one, but I'm actually going to cut it a little, and then I fold it down like that. So you have a mirror image for the folded side. I'm going to cut it shorter just so that you don't want anything sticking out. So there's that one. And then I don't have enough for the third one. So this is the middle one. And then this one, I'm going to have to use another piece of paper. Let me cut these out. And it's okay if these are just a little bit smaller, so they don't stick out. But you don't want them to be larger at all. So let me show you what I'm saying before I do the third one. I'm going to go ahead and fold this top one. If you have a scoring tool and you like using that, you can do that. Using a folding bone. And it looks like it's just slightly off there, just a little bit, but that's okay. Here's the top. And so when you glue this in, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can either have it where it folds down, which is what I did on the other one, or you can have it fold where it folds up. So however you like to do it. It'll make a difference on where you put your ribbon though. So If you're going to do here, you would want the ribbon, the little catch down here. Otherwise, you'd put it at the top. Okay, so here's the top piece. And you're going to glue this on top of this. But now let me show you. See what I'm saying? Like, this is just slightly larger than this piece. And so what I'm going to do is take my ruler and cut it down just a little bit so that it doesn't show and doesn't have anything hanging out underneath it. When you glue it, and so then when we glue it in, we'll glue it to this. We'll glue it to this, and then when we place them, we'll make sure we line the picture up. And so it doesn't really matter so much about these. They can be a little bit smaller. And then the other concern is you don't want it to bind up in the fold. And so I'm going to cut just a little bit off, just a little bit off each end, I think. Or, well, I guess, I mean, I could just cut it off one end. So I'm going to, and see how this one's just slightly, that white is just a little bit longer anyway. So I'm going to line it up and chop off just a little bit, about like that. Okay, so now I'm ready to actually, well, I can ink it later. I'll go ahead and glue this on. And you just want to make sure you don't have any white flashes around the edge. So, actually I'm going to put the glue on this because this is just slightly smaller. Be sure you get your edges really well. And then decide how you want it to fold before you glue it. So I'm going to do it just like I have it in the journal so it won't be confusing. So I did it so they folded. I think I did it so they folded down. Let me look real quick. Yeah, they folded down. So it was like this. So take this and glue it on here. Line it up as best you can, just so there's no white edges showing. Okay, and I'm going to go cut that third piece of paper, so just hang on just a second and I'll be right back. Okay, so here's the third piece of cardstock. And I'm just going to, I wanted you to see what I did again, just to make sure you understood. I mean, this isn't rocket science, but see how that's just a little bit bigger. So all I'm doing is just kind of trimming it down so that it doesn't show. So just check it, see if there's any white showing anywhere. If there is, just cut a little bit more off. And make sure it's going to fall down, so make sure I get it going the right way. And then just glue this on. So there's the top one, the bottom one. So now let's do the middle one. See, I traced around it, but see, even doing that, it's not exactly perfectly the same. But no worries. As long as it's a little bit smaller, it'll be fine. So let's see how that lines up. Yeah, see, it's just a little bit bigger. Okay. So, where'd it go? Here's the middle one. And we want it to fold down. And I still, I think, need to chop a little bit off the... I did the top piece, but I haven't done the middle or the bottom piece as far as trimming off for the fold. I'll show you in just a second. So this goes, okay, folds down from the top, goes like this. Just always be sure you got the right. So I trimmed a little bit off this edge for the fold, and so I didn't do the other two. So see, it's just a slightly little bit that I trimmed off. So I'm going to do that. And I trimmed it, actually, I trimmed it off of, so line your picture. Trimmed it off of this end. And it would have been simpler for me if I had trimmed it from the very beginning, just chopped off a piece. But this will work too, so. As long as you understand the basic reason why you're doing something, you can always go back and fix it later. And so now you're going to use your distress ink. This will show off the cuts that you've made, make it clear that you've got 3 separate pockets, which will look cool. So now on your page, you're going to assemble this little puzzle piece. Let's see. Yes, they all open from the top. Okay. You're basically just going to glue them in like this, but you want to get your ribbon that you're going to use to tie up here and loop around. So get a piece of ribbon or whatever works for you. I'm going to use this little ribbon here, I think. And so I'll glue some behind it, come up here, get enough to wrap around, so that's probably a good amount there. And then I'm going to get a brad, Bow Bunny brads. And I think I used one something like that, but you can use, if you want to use a little, you can make your own and put a regular little brad through it. Just something to wrap around your ribbon. Honestly, I think I think here's where I'm going to switch over. I'm going to go ahead and glue this in, and I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac. And gluing the pockets over this will also help hold this down too. So glue my ribbon. And then glue my pockets. What I'm going to do is start at the bottom and glue this in. So I'm going to put glue on here, and then I'm going to be sure you get it the right direction. And you can kind of register it with what's printed below it, but it's going to go like that. Line it up at the bottom. So then you're going to get your next one, and when you glue it in, you'll just line that up with that, and that shows you where to glue it. So this card in this card behind it isn't as important as the front. That's what's going to make it all go right. So shut that one. Get that over the top of the ribbon. And glue that in, and then do the same thing. Line that up. Glue that in, and you're done. And then these will open up, and you can write your prayers for September in here. Or if you want to tuck papers in these, you could. And then this will come up here, and I'll show you this finished one over here. You'll put your little brad up here, and then you just wrap your lace around that, and that's your closure. Okay? Be right back with the rest of September. Okay, so continuing on with September, I am going to, let's see, so here's this. So what I'm going to do behind this one is take the Distress ink in purple and lay down some color. And it looks like maybe the Dusty Concord. I'm going to try, well, actually, here's the color. Yeah, Dusty Concord looks like that would be the one. Good grief, there's a loud truck out there. And I need to put a piece of, I'll put a paper towel behind it. So I'm just going to rub some color on it. Okay, and then I'm going to glue. I got some cheesecloth that I used the Distress Brown, it was the Vintage Photo Distress ink, the spray. And I sprayed it all over this cheesecloth the other day. So I'm going to take a piece of that and just glue it kind of with some texture. And then I'm going to put that over the top of it. So let's, I don't know, my little scissors. I'm trying to figure out how is the best way to, I guess, let's see if I was thinking if I just put some Fabri-Tac on this and press it through and then let this just be loose around the edge. I've been kind of not wanting to, I think I might trim it. I might trim it around the edge when I'm done, because I don't really want, normally I like to have stuff sticking out, but I don't really want it to on this, because I like to have those 4 pages where you can just easily flip through them. And I don't really want anything in the way, I don't think. So anyway, let me put some Fabri-Tac on here and see if I can get this to go through and stick all 3 layers together at once. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna let that dry, I think. And then I'll trim it later. Now, we'll come to this background here, and I'm gonna take some gesso, if I can get some out of here, and scrape it across here and just, ooh, okay. That was wetter than I thought it was going to be. I'm just going to take this piece of cardboard and start spreading it. I have a credit card, which would be a better way to go, but since I already got this on here, I'm just going to go with it. See if I can get that blob off there. Okay, so I'll let that dry. and I'll be back. I've got this, I've got this gesso on here, and I kind of want to do another page on one of the other months. So I'm going to fan this and trying to think how I can do this without messing things up and still get to another page. Let's see. I'll leave that. Hopefully that'll not mess anything up. I think I'm gonna do one in November. Okay, so I think this is dry, and I put a piece of plastic under here, and I put my put my apron on, and I've got, let's see, I probably better put, I'm going to put another piece of plastic. I'm going to put a piece of plastic under here, and I really, let's see, this stuff goes everywhere, so okay, so I've isolated this page basically that has the gesso on it, and I'm going to use the Lindy's Shadow Sprays Moon Shadow Mist. And let's see, what do I have? There's silver, red, blue, turquoise, gold, and so I think because this month is purple, I don't have purple, I'm just going to use the gold. And actually, I do have, let me go get some of the Distress Oxide ink. Let me get that. I've got the Distress Oxide spray in Wilted Violet. I'm going to spray that. And I'm going to use the gold. In this Lindy's. Ooh, and there's the thing, it likes to run. So let's see if I can, oh, that's not going to work either. Okay, let me pick this book up. Okay, I think I'm going to get my dryer and dry this. Okay, I used the dryer on it, and I'm going to kind of blot. There's just a couple of drops that are wet, and they're going to be covered up anyway, so I'm going to blot those. Okay, so that is what that looks like. Uh-oh. Oh, okay, good. Phew, I thought it went over on that page. Okay, so there is that page. So I'm going to glue my, let's see, we're on September. Yeah, the financial giving page is what I've got there. I'm going to ink this page after it's been gessoed. It did kind of bleed over on the other page, but that's all right. Okay. Okay, so there is that page. Whoops. There's that. There's that page. I'm going to go ahead and trim this off, I think, and just kind of leave an edge. And I think I'll leave the, I don't want a whole lot sticking up. I don't mind it sticking up at the top as much as I do on the sides. Trim this back. I think I'll just, I think I'll just scrap it and then go over it with some purple distress ink. Okay, so I'm going to ink the pocket, and actually I need to trim this page up. Okay, then I'm going to ink the edges of this. Okay, so glue that on. Okay. So there is September. Done. So now we have a page for a special pocket of some sort, and I do have one. Do have a set from the kit that's a stacked pocket, so that can go there. So I just need to put something back here, and I think I've got this gesso, so I could spray it. Like to spray it. I think I might just spray it. I think I'll use my coffee, and I don't know if that'll do on that or not since it's gessoed, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to just spray it through a stencil, I think. Yeah, it kind of beads up. Not gonna absorb like it normally does, so I think that might be all right. Ooh, all right, I don't like that at all. So I'm gonna wipe it off. One good thing about the gesso. Okay, so the coffee doesn't work if it's been gessoed. Note to self. So I'm gonna go back and get the mica sprays and spray it with that, see what happens. And I'm not gonna put a stencil or anything, I'm just gonna spray it. This is pewter and brass. And it's the Tim Holtz Ranger Distress Mica Sprays that I'm using on this. It's kind of cool because it's starting to get the texture of the gesso that's behind it. So I think I'll take it over and dry it real quick. Okay, sorry I didn't have my microphone on. I don't know if you heard me or not, but I used the Ranger Mica Sprays, brass and pewter, and it was on top of the gesso, and then I blew it dry with my emboss heater, and I think it looks really cool. So yeah. All right, so I'm gonna ink these pockets real quick. Okay, got those inked. And I'm gonna get ready to glue them in. So let's see, spread those out the way I want them, something like that. Make a mark just so I know kind of where to land it. Just kind of leave it. Oh, that's not sticking very well there. The glue doesn't want to stick to the gesso as well as it does regular paper. And then this goes over the top of that one. And then I'm going to ink this edge. And that page is done. Okay, so we've got September all finished and we've got the extra page done. And the next one will go to October. So thanks for watching. I hope you liked it. And if you did, click the like button and I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.